Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Dale and joining me is Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey Dale, how's it going?
Well, it can be a little hectic at times. So today we were there at the weekly business session and hoping that the sheriff would also show up and say some things about use of road dollars. So both Mike and I got up. I got up first, followed immediately by Mike, and we've got a little clip for you from the weekly business session. Mike, you want to play that clip there, bud?
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. There's an old Greek tale about the Hydra. You cut off one head, and 6 new heads appear. And with this levy, that's exactly what's happened. Now that the levy has failed for the 9th time, there's 6 new proposals, 6 of them, for some kind of way to tax us into prosperity. SOS is coming back stronger than ever. They recently sent a letter to state legislators saying that they've got 1,000 members and growing. I've never been to a meeting where there's been more than 30 people there, but they've got 1,000 members and they're growing after being defeated again. So, Mr. Heck pointed out today that at a time when things are looking a little dark, you don't necessarily need to throw up your hands and give up. Perhaps there are other ways to do things, and praise needs to be extended for that. Well, the same thing goes for actually supporting law enforcement in this area. We said all along, it's not really only about law enforcement, is it? Oh, no, yes it is, it's only, no, apparently not, because we have in the roads fund something that we've done a couple of years ago, where we can take a portion of money set aside for roads, and we can have that pay for road deputies, not necessarily deputies that are sitting in a high school, not necessarily deputies that are sitting at the jail waiting for a phone call, but actual patrols that are driving around in a car and patrolling. Road deputies, road patrols. One of the good things about the end of this levy process and the beginning right away of the new one is that we're finding, many people are finding they've got things in common. The pro-levy side and the anti-levy side have things in common. And one of them that they have in common, they want the money to go to the sheriff. We always did. We just wanted to keep it out of your hands. But yes, please see the money goes to the sheriff. And this argument, well, it's only for 1 year. No, you take the money, you cut it in half, and now it's for 2 years. And when we talked with the sheriff at badcounty.com, he said, yeah, I'll take 2 deputies. Great. Let's do that. So, 2 of you know the difference between right and wrong. We're simply encouraging you and telling everybody that we know, pro or con, please call the commissioners, encourage them to do the right thing. They can do the right thing about this. Thank you.
Yes. Mike Jones, Grants Pass. I just wanted to add my voice to those who are advocating for the use of road funds for road deputies. It shouldn't be a political decision, but apparently it is. It just seems like an easy thing to do, and I would immediately start lobbying the legislature for an extension of this rule, which apparently sunsets in January of 2016, to continue to use road dollars for deputies. It's been done in other counties, and they are using it to a much greater degree than we are. We've seen a huge response to the budget committee videos that we have put out, where Peggy Goodwin advocates for the use of the road dollars. So many people are aware of this now, and as Dale said, pro-levy and anti-levy alike are voicing opinion about this and saying that that's what they want. On another topic, I agree with Cheryl on the CASA situation. I don't know what their square footage is, but $5,000 to occupy an office space for a year seems pretty reasonable to me. And as she also indicated, we're strapped for money. I agree with Simon on the Rogue Roasters situation. We do have a lot of coffee places in town. Another one I don't think we need to subsidize. So I agree with that. Also, the charter. We've been doing a lot of talking about the charter, and it appears that even elected officials are not really aware of what's in the charter. I'm kind of amazed by that. I think if you work for the county, you should certainly have read it. If you're an elected official for the county, you should be able to quote chapter and verse from that document, and because it's your obligation, it's a social contract for the citizens here, and they should understand it as well. Thanks.
Well, that's just
subjects.
crazy.
You had a lot to say today.
Dale hates that. Dale always tells people go up there and say one thing, but I don't go up there very often. Dale's there every single week, and all of these things are front of mind for me right now, or at least here's the government gonna spend some more money, throw $50,000 at somebody. Here you go, you can keep that. And yet they don't even want to give some money to the sheriff and say, hey, you can have that, even though that is an option for them. To say, here, take this money, it's yours, you can use it. Don't worry about having to pay it back, because you have the option to go loan or just grant it to the sheriff's department. Oh no, if they're going to do this at all, it seems like it's going to be in the form of a loan. And oh, by the way, when are you going to pay me back? I'm going to call you once a month. Interesting.
Now, I don't hate it when people do more than one subject, but while they don't do it to me, and they don't do it to you, because they don't debate with us at all. But with other people, what they'll do is the commissioners will pick their most favorite of the four things that they say, and they'll only talk about that. And the problem is, if you mention, four controversial subjects, and one of them is the one they actually want to talk about, they're not going to talk about the others at all. Mark Seligman got up today and he says, well, Cheryl Walker was at a Rotary Club meeting when she brought up this $2 bill, this $2 tax that the state is now considering. It doesn't look like it's going to go through, but they're considering imposing on us. They're aiming it at Josephine County, specifically at us. And she says, and her only response was, well, that's wrong, Mr. Seligman. I didn't do that. I wasn't at a Rotary Club meeting. I said, Mark, what's the matter with you? She wasn't at a Rotary Club meeting. She was at an SOS meeting. But she's not going to say that. So she picks this one thing that he says, and then that's it. On to the next subject. That is the problem. Sometimes with giving them any openings at all, because they'll squeeze out of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about your choice of the above subjects. You want to start with the road dollars? Any of them?
It seems like Yeah, sure. It seems like an easy, an obvious place to start. They have what appears to be a pretty compelling case. They had Rob Brandis got up there and went on in great detail about why they should have this money and that the sheriff shouldn't have it. I don't know what to say about that. I guess if you're going to go up there and argue your case, you better be ready to refute the other guys, and that unfortunately didn't happen. But I have it on some authority that this is not a dead situation yet, although the commissioners all three seem to be pretty adamantly against this. And listen, if you were trying to send a message otherwise, you failed at that, okay? You basically attacked this guy and said, you can't do this, and here's the reasons why you're failing at this, and this, because you're not going to be able to have a deputy on the road even before this money runs out. Get out of here. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but it was kind of along those lines. It was, I was a little bit discouraged that more people didn't show up, and I know that some people may have been thrown off by the fact that the budget was not on the agenda this week. But there was a lot of talk about. In fact, I would say if you came to that meeting and didn't know what was on the agenda, you'd swear it was about road dollars and the sheriff and public works. That's what you'd think that meeting was about.
The thing that surprised me the most about the whole meeting is, where was anybody, one person, from the pro-levy movement?
Yeah.
Don't they want funding for the sheriff?
Not there.
No. SOS members? They've got 1,000 and they're growing. No, they don't.
They had one guy.
Yeah, just one.
Well, yeah. In fairness to them, Jay Meredith was there, and he did advocate for the use of the road dollars. Go figure.
So they end up sending. He sent himself. They end up sending not 1%, because 1% would be 1 out of 100. 1/10 of 1% of their so-called members, or he said, no, they're not members, they're followers. What the heck is a follower?
Yeah, that's well, I would say that means that they're on the mailing list. So in other words, they get they're following the minute reports, because they send out emails every week.
Yeah, what we've heard is there are not 1,000 people on their email list. There are not 1,000 people on their email list. This we hear in bits and pieces from Inside SOS. So still, I would say, what is a follower? But okay. At any rate, the sheriff did come. He did come, and he made a short little speech. What'd you think about that, Mike?
Well, I thought it was better than not coming. Because they would have rolled over like a steamroller. Now he did a couple of things that I'll give him credit for. He showed up. He said, "Yeah, I want the money." I wouldn't have said to them, "Hey, just give me whatever you want." I wouldn't have done that. I would have said, "Listen, I want the maximum that you have available." Or even if you said that gives them an opening. I would have said, I want all that money. I want every penny of that money.
And I'm worth it.
That's the way to come in there. If you're in a negotiation, you go for more than what you want.
And public safety is worth it. You said you wanted public safety. Now you can have public safety. Give me all that money. It's renewable.
Yes.
Well, now, see, here's the thing. We do the best that we can to try to tell you what the numbers are. We don't want to give you wrong numbers. And we've heard so many numbers from so many sources. Even the finance director, he got caught the other day saying something that was absolutely, totally, completely false. And I talked to him after the meeting, and he had no excuse. He testified falsely to the budget committee. We've got it on tape. So already he's testified falsely, and he's the budget director. And it was not a small thing, okay? He just said it completely wrong, and I think he knew that it was wrong, but he felt like saying that, okay? So we've heard from him at a Thursday little backroom meeting, well, this money, if it does come, it won't come from the reserve. What do you mean it won't come from the reserve? Why would he say it would not come from the reserve? Everybody's talking about it coming from the reserve, and this one guy says it's not. And we've heard all kinds of numbers about what's in there. And just to give you an idea, this is a little on the comical side because we do try a little bit to be lighthearted. It's hard sometimes. Old Mike here was feeling a little depressed after this meeting. I'm not sure too many things happened. Well, it's also true. But when they gave this money away to rogue roasters, and I mean gave it to them, just here's a gift, right? Good luck to you in later life. Keith X said, well, this is going to create 30, he was saying this is going to create 30 full-time jobs. And then another commissioner said, no, it's going to create 70 full-time jobs. And then the other one said, no, it's going to create 42 full-time jobs. They have no idea how many jobs this is going to create. They thought 90 full-time family wage jobs are going to be created by putting a plaque on a rock. Well, no, we didn't really think that. They have no idea what they're doing with the money. Do you need any further proof? Is it 70 jobs, 42 jobs, or 30 jobs? They don't know.
Oh, listen, you know what? It might as well be 500. Why didn't they just say 500?
It just doesn't make any difference to them. $50,000.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Given away, gave it to them.
They just gave it to him. It could have been a loan. You could have given him a loan for another coffee shop. I mean, even Simon was saying, really, we need another coffee shop in this area? Yeah, I mean, God bless him. I hope that, but there's just only so many people who are going to drink coffee.
Nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a coffee shop. Nothing wrong with it. And they have, it's a very successful place. And if you go in there, because of the fact they went to the state fair and they won best in the state for their coffee.
That's impressive.
All of a sudden they're riding high. They're riding high on this big wave, and they raise their prices up through the roof. It's very expensive stuff. If you want to go in there, buy a pound of their coffee, the stuff's pricey.
Is this
so they're making
out of the rear end of monkeys, that expensive coffee?
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, they're making a lot more money now. They're making a lot more profit, so they don't really need to be bailed out. And there's a lot of businesses that probably have a lot more sympathetic situation in this town, but somebody in this town understands economic development money and was working with them.
Controlled by Cheryl Walker. A super, well thought of company can't go to a bank and get the money. In fact, they can't borrow the money. They have to be given it as a gift. Even Andres Black got up. I mean, this is the bad boy of gravel, out in the Sunny Valley. Even this guy got up and he said, what kind of business plan do you have where you leave a big gaping hole for $50,000 in it?
The kind where you want somebody to fill it for nothing.
It's a gift. They don't have to pay it back, not ever. Even if they use it successfully and triple their business, they never have to pay it back. Now, if you never had to pay it back, your friend gives you a bunch of money, oh, don't ever worry about ever paying it back. Are you going to pay it back? Well, some people would.
Yes.
There was a commissioner that ran for office. I'll stop mentioning her name all the time. And people gave her money saying, please, run for office. Good luck to you. She said, I'm going to return the money. Oh, you never need to return. She did return the money. One guy was really upset. Well, I thought I was going to get a little better access. No. I told you no. She returned every single penny. I will do that. Yeah, I'm going to get elected. But on the other hand, it will be a yardstick for others. But okay, so here were some of the things that happened at that meeting. Oh my golly. Well, I was going to tell you about some of the things that happened at that meeting. Hold on just a second, please. Oh my gosh. Hey. Okay, good golly. Things that happened at that meeting.
Well, I see and still hear you, so there's not that much of a technical issue. And now, the one issue that we are having a little bit of a problem with tonight is bandwidth, because I'm catching Dale, and in some cases I'm getting like every third word of what he's saying, and it's coming in real choppy. So this is the challenge of internet television. We're working on it and trying to do it the best we can. what
Thank you.
happens.
Okay, so one of the things they were talking about is CASA. Okay, that was the first administrative action of the day, CASA. Mike, tell us a little bit about CASA, would you please? Because you brought that up in your speech.
Well, I believe it's court-appointed special advocates.
Yes, sir.
And there are people who advocate for children who are going through court situations where perhaps they were in a home where they were molested or something along those lines. And so I don't know that much about CASA, but I do know people who were heavily involved in CASA and for many years. So.
Well, one of the controversies
it's
about CASA is that they have the money to pay the rent, and they've been paying the rent. It's not really rent, it's paying for the utilities. And they have the money. They had it set aside, according to Simon Hare, who is their main advocate. He's their non-court-appointed special advocate for them, and it's his favorite charity. Well, I'm going to get money from my favorite charity, is basically his attitude. And so the thing is, they used to be part of the county. Then they decided on their own, we didn't have enough money. That's not right. Stop saying you didn't have enough money. They decided to break away from the county because they wanted to apply for all kinds of funding and stuff, which was not available to a government entity. So they broke off. Well, that didn't work out. So now they'd sort of like to come back, but they'd like to start by being independent, but having us pay for everything or all their utilities. Sounds like a sweet deal, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was very interested in the kind of space that they have and how much they're paying for it, because I would be more than happy to allow them to use that much space in a building if I had what they needed for nothing. But the idea that somehow the county should pay for it. Yeah, that didn't really jive with me. Although, CASA used to be a part of it. It used to be a part of county government. It used to be, the costs were absorbed by county government, and they were part of it. But now they're not, and so that's part of when you leave the house, you can't come back and live in the basement.
Well, it's for the children, and so anytime something's for the children.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
Right. Now, heartless people, maybe there are in Josephine County. That's a possibility. They did their cost-benefit analysis, and they determined we're going to pay for this, but we're not going to pay for this. It's their choice. All knuckleheads? Okay, so it's a county of knuckleheads, whatever. But it's the majority had decided we feel like being knuckleheads, if that's your point of view. It's not mine, but maybe somebody's. And so we don't want to do this. So now you have to do it. You're going to do it whether you like it or not, because the commissioners have decided. Why don't they just do that on everything? The city council did. They said, well, we need money for the jail. Well, we don't want to put in money for the jail. Okay, then we'll just put it on your water bill. On your water bill?
Yeah, that's right.
There was no vote.
Why don't they just drop by and assess you on the value of your car or something? I mean, I don't really see the difference, except for they own the utility and they're already in a relationship with you where they send you a bill, and it's easier for them to just raise the bill than it is to come up with a whole nother fee that you're supposed to pay.
Is anybody asking why? Sorry, there's a delay, so it seems like I'm being super rude to him. No, I'm just being regular rude to him.
Yeah. Yes.
Is anybody asking why am I paying for a jail on my water bill? Because they can make you do that, and if you don't pay your water bill, they'll turn it off. End of story. That they don't make any bones. Well, yeah, let's not put it that way. Well, how would you put it? Well, it really is sort of that way. Yes, it is. Nice.
Well, and listen, here's what you should learn from this. If they can impose a fee or a bill or something on you, they will do it. That's about as much as they thought they could get away with. But I mean, had they gone a little further, they probably have gauged that, well, people will start to get upset if we charge too much more than what we're charging right now. But you know what? They're going to renew this thing again, and it's going to keep on going, and it's never going to go away. And then they'll come up with something else to add to it. Oh, wait a minute. They already have. It's a sales tax. And then they're just going to add that on top. And, after that, it will be something else. You see, I'm from California, where we have seen this stuff happen before. And it's just one thing after the other after the other. California has so many revenue streams. The people up in Oregon, the government up in Oregon, is freaking out. How can we be like that? We want to be those people because they're sucking it in from everywhere. And they're sucking in so much money, and yet they're blowing it out of a fire hose so much faster than we are up here that they can't even keep their roads in good shape. Their roads are atrocious. I mean, have you been to California lately?
Yeah.
They're bad, and they're getting worse. I've never seen them this bad, and I have property down in the Bay Area, and every time I go down there, I cannot believe how bad the roads are. They weren't that bad when I left. Now they're bad, and it's because they're raiding that fund.
You left, and that this place just went to heck.
Well, now listen to this. They are raiding the road fund. It's that road fund is the same road fund we're talking about here. They're raiding it for their own purposes. Okay, what makes you think that they wouldn't do this for something else that they like a little bit better? Yeah, they would.
Now, count the number of taxes that are currently in the works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and six. Oh, 6 different taxes. Not enough fingers on one hand. 6 different opportunities to tax you into prosperity. Happy about that?
Oh yeah, I like it.
But the city has enough money to
rich.
spend it on a new logo. And they're saying, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't. Why do you think they're saying maybe we won't now? Because people are going, what are you doing, you crazies? Well, there was a survey in the Courier. The Courier surveys, their polls are fake. We've proven that. They're fake. Okay, so don't be quoting from some poll in the Courier, an imaginary newspaper with an imaginary poll.
Well, yes. But they quoted the poll, but they weren't saying good things about the poll because they quoted the poll, and the poll said that everybody hated the new logo. And I actually think that's true. But then the other guy said, well, the poll that they took showed the levy passing by a large margin. Oh, okay. Well, they're now using, and that led right into them going, well, the levy got a greater number of votes in the city. It was 55 to 45 passing in the city, and 45-55 out in the county. Well, what that means is that the people in the city of Grants Pass want to be taxed more. So we are just working on obliging them. And, that's our job.
Okay. Sandy Casanelli got up today, and she talked about one of her favorite subjects, which is the idea of what used to be called the Job Council, but they weren't helping people find jobs, apparently. So they changed it to Workforce Development Council or group or something like that, because they're helping develop the workforce. They're not helping people find jobs. They're training people in order to be computer programmers by sitting down and this is a computer, this is a mouse, this is a keyboard. Okay, really? So the last couple of times that she and I both went to these meetings, I kept trying to ask the executive director, well, just tell us any of your metrics. Well, we're not prepared to tell you our metrics now. What? You don't know? I mean, I was nice to him about it. The next meeting I went to, well, have you had a chance to look at those metrics? No, I'm not prepared. It's exactly the same words. Well, they got tired of asking that question. So Sandy Castanelli pointed out where your new group, Workforce Development Council or whatever it's called, you'll only have one commissioner from Josephine County on there and one from Jackson County. Isn't that convenient? Because that means you don't need to let the public in anymore because there's not a quorum of county commissioners. So this is how it works. This is an important small point. It's important though. Simon Hare says, well, now if Miss Casanelli was still here, because they talk about you, when you're out, she just can't stand to stay in the same room with these guys. It's lucky she'll even show up, but she's got to look at them like this kind of thing in order to be able to speak. But we're using our media that's we paid for to communicate with everybody. You think we're up there just talking with the commissioners? Like they're listening, right? Okay, so she tells them this, and so she leaves, and every time, well, I see Ms. Casanelli's not here, so I think I'll take this opportunity to lecture her. And he starts talking about, well, I think really, she probably ought to know this, but really, you can certainly come to this, and you'll be allowed to ask questions. Not you, Simon. Because the last time I was there, it was on the agenda. Simon Hare said, no, I don't think we will allow questions. It was Simon that was not allowing questions. So now he says, it's Simon then that says, well, I think that you do get to ask questions. Simon, no. You were the one that was opposed to asking questions. And he's such a helpful guy. What the heck is this? Get off of there. He was such a helpful guy. All the time when we're trying to ask questions at the weekly business session. This is what these guys do. And it sounded really good. Well, Ms. Casanelli, apparently you don't know. And that for a few instances, it sounds good. And you go, no, wait a minute. All you need is one person with a memory. That's what we do. We tell you what the history is about it. This is why a commissioner for a candidate for commissioner can't get away with saying, oh, well, I think I don't like taxes. You can't say that. Well, I feel, that's really not that. You can't say it because you've promoted that. Well, the meetings used to be chaos. They were not chaos. Well, I say they were. Well, you're wrong because they weren't chaos. That's like Dennis Weber. Why, people are yelling and screaming and yelling out expletives. No, they weren't. And if you go to these things, and if you're honest, you would know. So what do you do with a pastor that's not being honest? Well, I don't know about you, but I pointed out. God's not going to condemn me to hell because I point out that a pastor's not telling the truth. It might be the opposite. Okay, Mike. So Rogue Roasters. Tell us all about Rogue Roasters again, or some of the details about it if you can, buddy.
Well, I guess they're, they applied for 50 grand and they got it. I mean, I really don't know any of the details beyond that, to be honest, except for the fact that this was not their first run at economic development. They apparently established their first business. They're opening a second one. That's what this 50 grand now is about. But their original store they opened with economic development money. So, we're already into them for however much that cost. I think that was the city that particular time, and now the county's into them for 50 grand.
What I don't understand, and this is a place where I agree with Simon Hare in general, because one of his pals was involved with internet infrastructure. And I'm not saying the internet's more important than coffee, because then there are some people who they couldn't exist without either one of them. And there's internet stuff that's done in coffee shops, okay? But he says, shouldn't we be investing economic development money if we're going to do it relatively blindly, because they don't really have a good idea about what they're doing? Is it 3 jobs? Is it 30 jobs? Is it 1,000 jobs? They don't know. Shouldn't we be investing it in infrastructure that helps everybody? Yeah, buddy. But this helps one company, one medium or small size company, just one. It doesn't raise the boats for everybody. So isn't it better that the economic development money goes into, well, Cheryl Walker's the economic development czarina, so she's not going to be done that way. But wouldn't it be better if it was helping everybody, like reducing the fees for starting a business? Or how about
Yes,
traded sector?
that
Go ahead.
that was a rare moment of sanity coming from. There was a number of people in the room in agreement on that, including Rika Brown.
That was incredible. She actually got up once again to talk about probably weeds or getting rid of your junk or something. She set her notes aside, which I couldn't believe, because she always just goes straight on through. It doesn't matter what everybody else is talking about. And she said, well, I want to talk about this. And she actually agreed with them and said, look, this just doesn't make any sense to do it this way. Traded sector makes more sense for us. And why? What is traded sector? Okay. What that is you're dealing with companies that are people that are on the outside of the county. You're not selling, I'll buy your widgets, you buy my coffee, and all in the same place. That's just these dollars going into here and these dollars going into there, and there's no progress. What you want to do is pull in money, suck in money from outside the county, so we'll all become more prosperous, okay? Not selling stuff to each other. And so this coffee shop, maybe they do some traded sector business, but most of their stuff is going to be within the county. So this is in general, I'm sure they're lovely guys, but this is in general, don't invest in a new burger joint or in a new coffee shop or in a new tire store. Unless you're making tires that are going to be sold nationwide, that's a dead end street. Mike?
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, that makes sense to me. It's listen, 50 grand is a lot to lay out in one lump sum to anybody in this community. I don't know if I can rationalize that. That smacks of picking winners and losers, and these guys are already winners. Okay, they don't need this. They're making plenty of money unless they're blowing everything they're making, and in that case, they don't deserve to continue to be in business then anyway. So,
well, CASA is paying their rent. They've got enough money to pay the rent through the end of the year, and so they're doing lovely work. Thank you very much, but they've got enough money. What about somebody that doesn't have enough money that's just as deserving? What about some kind of company that does traded sector business? What about somebody that is struggling just a little bit just with their application fees? Wouldn't it be smarter to help them out in some way, or everybody with application fees? You just don't charge any application fees for the next 6 months, and you invite people to start up new businesses and change things and do additions. Everybody. No, just one company for $50,000. So what?
Yeah,
I mean, if you had 50,000, what could you do with that, Mike, in your business?
Wow. Listen, and I could use that. I have a lot of money that I need to invest in my business, and I'm waiting for the economy to come back. But it's not going to come back as long as people are getting 50 grand for their little coffee business for not doing anything, that is not helping the community. It's going to help those guys. They're going to be doing fine, but not everybody else. And they could have helped out a lot of people with that same amount of money.
Okay, so here's a bit of a challenge for our audience. Maybe you hate minors. Maybe you hate marijuana growers. But the question to you is, if they bring money into the county, if they're selling things, and they're not just selling to each other, right? You give me marijuana, I'll give you gold. I don't think so. So these are people that would raise the economy by putting money in their own pockets by being wealthy. And one would think that they wouldn't, put it offshore in Bahamas or something. They could. But Cheryl Walker has made it very clear that those kinds of people do not put any money into the county bank accounts. Why you could always give us a gift. She actually said that. Now, Here she is saying that they don't really contribute anything to the county bottom line. But then these rogue roaster guys, I'm sure they're lovely people. I'm not debating that. They will somehow, because this could mean 30, 42, or 70 jobs. Now, wait a minute. What about these other guys you just told go take a hike? That doesn't make any sense, Cheryl. Make any sense to you, Mike?
Well, the whole thing doesn't really make any sense, and so I'm not going to try to make a sensical story out of the whole thing. The bottom line is they gave $50,000 to one person.
Yeah.
That smacks of a favor to me.
Now, why would they do that? Okay, we know that the people who run Rogue Roasters. Well, tell them about Cheryl and her political affiliations and Rogue Roasters and theirs.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't. I have heard people in Rogue Roasters espousing certain things. I don't want to say any. I don't have any ironclad evidence of what their political beliefs are. So I'm not gonna get into that one.
It looks as if they're somewhat similar to Cheryl's. Okay, so it would make sense that you want to give money away to people who think the same way that you do.
That's a pretty hazy line to draw, but okay.
I don't mind drawing a hazy line every once in a while, as long as most of the rest are defined. What are people saying, to kind of sum this all up, what are people saying about these issues, all of the above, in social media? You follow social media. What kind of things are they saying out there, Mike?
About this? I don't know.
Rogue dollars, Rogue Roasters, Rogue.
Nothing about I don't know anything that anyone's saying about Rogue Roasters. I haven't even seen that in social media. But I have seen people talking about road dollars, and they're in favor of it. A lot of people who had previously been for the levy, because they understand that that's come and gone. It's not going to be there, but their motives were relatively pure on this. And so they're advocating for the road dollars to be used. So I say that's fantastic.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with me today about this, and thank you guys for watching this. We will keep you as informed as we can. Tomorrow is the busy day of the week. It's Thursday. It's the admin meeting in the little back room, and all the things that are coming up for next week and are on the agenda for the next ceremonial meeting at the weekly business session will be decided in the little back room tomorrow. I'll be there 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it takes. We'll tell you everything that we can about what's happening. On Friday, we'll get together with the sheriff. We put out a little promotion about that. Dale and Mike go to jail. You'll see what it means. And then on Sunday, we meet with Wally Hicks. What are we going to be talking about on Sunday with Wally Hicks there, Mike?
Well, I think that we have the last piece on the evolution of the charter, if I recall correctly.
You brought up the charter during your speech at the Wednesday weekly business session. You and I and a lot of citizens are now becoming much more hip about what's in the charter. What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? What protections does it say that it affords us? And so far, the answers that we're getting from some county officials are, it's giving you the kind of protection where if you held it up over your head during a rainy day, it would protect you from the rain.
Yes. Sad.